very close to Makati, which is all part of that same area. I wanted to touch base today for those of you who are considering coming to the Philippines. And I know there are many videos about this, but I just wanted to give you my take from my hands-on, boots on the ground experiences. And I've been here a year, and I've been to a few islands, which I can say may not be the popular ones for most people, because most people go to all the hot places. It depends on what age group we're talking about here. We're talking about people, youngsters who want to go and party down, and so then yeah, you're going to go to Bohol, you're going to go to Panglao, you're going to go to uh, probably places like Batangas and so. But if you're looking just to find yourself a nice lifestyle and to have the kind of conducive atmosphere for you to survive in, hey, we're looking at, first of all, finances. We're looking at location. We're looking at finding apartments that's going to suit your particular needs, because everyone has their own costs, location, accessibility to nightlife, and just eating foods that's going to suit you. Not everyone's going to be happy to eat chicken, and pork every day here, which is primarily the meals you get here. So I want to cover about three items actually. One would be location, uh, what kind of finances you'd be looking at to live a comfortable enough lifestyle that's not, you're not like a beggar man, you're not scrimping and scraping and looking at your budget so tightly, nor are you spending excessively and going traveling to such an extent that's going to cost you a lot of money, regardless of whether you take buses, tuk-tuks, airplanes, or ferries. Everything has a cost, and I'm going to kind of like tune it down to not the bare minimum, but to what you would require effectively to have what I consider a comfortable life. A life that you're not struggling, a life that you're not worried about tomorrow. How the hell am I going to manage to do this tomorrow or next week or next month? And most importantly, what kind of finances and income you're going to need to maintain that lifestyle. So let's look at the finances first of all, right? If you have, say, for example, an older guy, you've got pensions, you've got, I'm talking from a UK perspective, I don't know the American aspect, but if you've got a pension, you have some sort of savings that is rejuvenated on a monthly or bicentennial, by yearly or biannual situation, that could keep you going. But you'd still need to understand and appreciate that regardless of wherever you go in the Philippines, certainly in the big cities, it's going to cost you money. You know, People automatically assume because you're in the Philippines it's cheap, therefore you can survive. Of course you can, but there are levels of survival, there are level of existence, there's level of comfort. So, if you're somebody who can hack it and just live by the fly, kind of travel around, backpacking, chilling out in provincial areas, small cities, towns, and living on the outskirts of cities, great. You can survive. I'd say probably about 600, right? £600, which is about $700, $750 per month, and that's really just keeping it to the fine simplistic lifestyle. Not boringly simplistic, but you can do a lot of stuff. You can move around. You can still feel fairly confident with what you've got. But now that's outside the city, and that's if you're living on that kind of like transient lifestyle where you're moving from one place to another. If you're going to live like I'm doing currently right now, I've spent the last 2.5 months in Manila. You do require, for me, for the comfort I need to some extent. I'm not living in very big expensive hotels like the Sheraton and things like that, right? I'm living in I would say like level 3 and 4, or 3 to 4 stars hotels and inns and accommodation of that type, using either Airbnb or using Agoda, because right now I use Agoda for the last 5 6 months, and I'm getting deals through them because every time I book they give me like discounts, which means I get more choices. They give me preferential rates. So you need to look at this whole cycle of things, right? Effectively you could, and I've seen guys do this before. I've seen older guys and younger guys that just turn up in a city, and they just look for whatever's around and just bed down for the night. That's good if you're in a healthy perspective, if you don't have issues with medicines, you're okay to live in a bug-ridden place, or you don't know what you're going to turn up with. It could be the water faucet's crap, it could be the bed's very lumpy, or probably very, very thin mattresses that's really going to hurt you. And basically, do you want to always live in an unknown scenario on a shoestring where you don't know from day to day what your living or bedding or existence is going to be like? I personally have to have something that I'm fairly aware of the context and the scope of it. In other words, if I'm going to go to a house, I need to review some of it. Is it comfortable enough? What's the bed like? What's the rooms like? Am I going to have water? Am I going to have internet? Am I going to be looking out of a window that just looks at a wall? Am I going to have an apartment room that has no windows? Am I just going to be in a place where there's no balcony or a small area to walk out, like, and look out onto things? Or have small, tiny windows which you have very little light in the room, or a basement where there's not much going on except external noises you can hear. These are the things, or these are the things you need to really be careful of, because you'll find yourself in many situations where you're going to be very disappointed, or at least you're not going to be enamored with where you stay. And I'm not saying that you're going to be bedridden or have cockroaches and bugs and mosquitoes everywhere, but the likelihood of you not achieving certain levels of expectations is very high. So I've learned this over the years, and I'm not necessarily going for the cheapest stuff, but I'm not going for the top-notch stuff either. I'm staying kind of the middle to downwards, a little bit below that, right? Because as long as you're comfortable, as long as you have access, as long as you're not too far in the provinces, where, trust me, after a couple of weeks, it'll hit home. It will actually bring you down, because if you don't have communication levels with people, if you can't move around fairly comfortable without having to bus it everywhere, taxi it everywhere, before you're in an area where there's a community, you can talk to people, even if it's casual chit chat. You need that interaction, you need that interface. We're humans, we need to have to be this social interaction and exchange. So it might be nice for a little while, but it does bear on you. And I found I got burnt out after a while. After traveling like 8 months, I did a lot of trips to different places, from Bohol to Palawan to Panglao to Cebu, Lido, Menglanela, all these places, not necessarily the hot spots, but the places I wanted to see, because I wanted to see for long-term planning if this place is going to be where I am. And if I just went to the hot spots, it's not giving me a true, genuine, organic understanding of, is this going to be what I need for the future? So if you're young, all that shit wouldn't matter, because you will just travel, you hit a spot, you stay there long, you bugger off, go somewhere else, right? So anyway, that's primary. Find out what suits you. Do a little bit of review. You need to do some review. Otherwise, you're going to be 9 times out of 10, you're going to be disappointed. So for a few minutes, check out people. Say, look at 10 reviews of that particular site or that hotel or the area, and you'll get a pretty good drift of what it's going to be like, what to expect. All right. Next, I would look at why you would want to travel to the Philippines. Is it going to be long term, or is it just a holiday spell? Because hey, you need to do something in the Asia Pacific area that's going to maybe just change your perspective of your hometown, with the possibility to probably coming here, maybe even finding a girlfriend or wife, having a relationship that changes the whole scene. And many foreigners here do that. Most come here because they want to find a woman, because they want to find traditional, they want to find a feminine person that's going to follow their lead, that's going to support them, that's going to love them. Not just banging the woman and just going off. There are guys like that. But I think in the majority of cases, whether you're old or young, there is the tendency to want to find someone you can share experiences with. And I think this is a common denominator in everyone who travels. There may be the fly boys, there may be the guys who want to just flaunt money and stuff. These are the ones that are not going to last very long, or their money's not going to last very long, because the girls see that. And if you're in the city, the girls pick up on this, they take the hell out of it, they'll strip you to a bone, and then they'll be off to another guy. So you need to determine what it is you want here. Are you just looking for the high life, the fun times, the bang as many beaches as you can, and then go back home, or you're looking for something more long term with a more relevance, with something that has more gravity and traction to where you want to go and what you want to do, right? Um, so yeah, I'm here. I've been here a year. It'll be a year in a week's time, and my plan is here. Just to give you a kind of overview, is that I am with my brother, who's in the US. We're looking to find a property either here or Malaysia, and that's what I'm doing the boots on the ground research to try and actually ascertain what the benefits are and the disbenefits are of living in Asia. So in February, which I'm going to be here a year and 20, maybe a year, 3 months. I'm then going to travel to Malaysia and then do another 6 months to a year review there and find out if it's worth it, and then collaborate with him and see what we both feel about it. Because I'm the one who's seeing it hands on. He's just going to have to get my feedback, and we have trust in each other. You know, we're on the same page. We understand what we're both seeking, and at a serious age, a discerning age, we have no qualms about what we need. We know what we want. We just need to find it or find a collection of things that tick our boxes. And whichever one gives us the most ticks in our boxes, that's the ones we're more likely to pursue and engage in and invest in. So, guys, I would also say if you're looking for relationships, uh, I would genuinely believe the best places to find relationships, and I've been very picky. I mean, I could find women, but I find in the cities they're very savvy to. They understand the Western ways. They've met a lot of Westerners. They've gleaned a lot of tricky and devious ways of how to try and trick you. And these girls, you can't blame them. They're here to have a life for their family. They're trying to find a means of providing finances for their families back home. It's probably not their best choices. It may not be the choice they want, but they do it because A, foreigners are stupid. B, they want to find a foreigner so they can appreciate that person if they find a nice guy. And also, it's easy pickings. So if they can find a foreigner or foreigners that they can rotate on a regular basis, and most of them do, they rotate. The guy's coming. Even I've known girls, they've got one guy here, and then next week they go date another guy, or they've got two or three guys running on the same week, but they'll just say, oh, they're going off to see a friend or spend time at home, and they're sort of like in another city, either playing it with another dude or traveling with him and stuff like that. You got to appreciate it because that's what we are doing. That's what people coming to the Philippines are doing. You're trying to maximize your time, or you're trying to get everything out of the life, the people, the women, and enjoying yourself. Let's be quite honest. Let's look at that for what it is, you know? And they're going to do that. They're using the same methodology we're using, or methodology, to try and get what they can. Now, I would say if you want a woman for something a bit more lasting, not necessarily go to the provinces, but just don't go to clubs, don't go to bars, don't go to places where they congregate. You can actually meet people just by sitting in a shop, having something to eat, maybe out in an open space like they have like outdoor concerts or events, or maybe sometimes you go to a church and sit there for a while and read something. You'll find women coming. They don't talk to you, but they might sit next to you. You can just you can engage in them. You might find you go to a like they could have small events like a coffee shop or the demonstrations where they put on like a coffee advert or dancing scene, or there's like groups of people get together and they'll try and portray, they're trying to sell something to the public. You can actually people that way as well by engaging with them, talking. So yeah, these are the places you're more likely to find people that are going to be more genuine and more likely to be unsuspecting. In other words, they're not expecting you to approach them, but when you approach them, they're taken aback. When you approach them and discuss with them, they like the fact that you made the effort. And if you can learn a few words, good, but that's not important. But just the fact that you're making an effort in a rather, um, how should I say, it's not a place where they're expecting you to go to, like a bar, restaurant. You're meeting them outside, you're walking around. It can be down the street, you're walking, you're going to a coffee shop or a bread shop or a small takeaway place, and you just interact with people. You got to be able to communicate. You've got to be able to talk to them, not just about, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what? Look at what she's doing. If she's doing something, you can engage about what it is she's doing. Don't talk about yourself. Keep yourself out. Let her ask you. When she starts showing interest, she will automatically ask you. But don't throw that at her. Don't throw what you've been, what you've done, how much you earn, how much you travel. That's not important. Look at what she is because you don't know where she's coming from. You don't know her ideals. You don't know what her expectations are. Keep it simple. Invest your time in what it is she's doing, what her interests are. Okay, that's all the best. That's the best I can tell you, really. Right. I'm going to move away from Manila probably in another month or so. I'm going to go to Iloilo, and I'm not sure what the weather's like, so I'll do some research. But to me, I've heard it's a very nice city in terms of not so much that there's lots of foreigners there, but there are foreigners there who've been living there for probably a decade. They're married, they've got families. It's a nice setup, and it's conducive to family and a long-term relationship. So I'm going to check it out soon, and I'll report back then. But as it is right now, guys, be careful as well when you're traveling that you do some research on the areas you're going to because it's about weather. You know, you can go to places like I went to Palawan about 2 months ago. It was a great place to see, but it was a nightmare time because it was always every other day it was thunderstorms, typhoons, and most of the time I was either standing in the rain or watching the sea, you know, being tumultuous, going into the town and sitting and having coffee, talking to a few foreigners. But you couldn't do a lot else. You couldn't go on the seaside. You couldn't go diving. You couldn't do anything on the sea because it was just dangerous. So check out the area. Make sure that where you're gonna go, the weather is gonna assist you in achieving the goals and what you want to do. The entertainment, the um, the activities, the sporting things. Right? Look at that. So, guys, I'm going to call it a day now. This has been longer than I expected, and I hope you've gleaned some information that might be useful for you. But I do believe the Philippines is still a great space to come. And to be honest, wherever country you're coming from, as I understand, you can arrive here. You don't need to prepare a visa. You arrive here and you get a free 29-day visa. When you arrive, they will just look at your passport, they see where you're coming from, and they will issue you a visa, okay? But what you do need to do, and that's absolutely essential in most cases, is that you log on to the Philippines website and you you download a QR code because you're traveling there, right? It's a traveling website. Look at philippines.ph and you've got to download the QR code. The QR code then allows you to swipe your way through at immigration or the airport so you can get in without too much hassle. Sometimes you get through all right, but in most cases, you will find that they will probably ask you for that. And if you don't have it, it just means more delays and then you have to fill in forms and do shit. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that, guys. So enjoy yourself and I'll see you, or at least hope that when you get here, you enjoy yourself as much as you should do because it's a great place and it's very, very entertaining. It covers all the areas that you wouldn't have in the West in terms of excitement, uh, generosity, friendliness, and just downright enjoyable. Okay, it's Chris here. Thanks for listening in, and I'll send you more details later on. Thanks, guys.